Kathryn Kuhlman was not born into strength. She was born into fragility. From a young age, Kathryn was shy, soft-spoken, and painfully aware of her weaknesses. She did not possess a commanding voice or a dominant personality. In a world that celebrated boldness and confidence, she seemed almost invisible. Yet beneath her quiet exterior was a deep sensitivity, an unusual awareness of God's presence that set her apart long before she understood it. She often felt different. While others chased attention and approval, Kathryn was drawn to silence, to prayer, to moments alone where she sensed God closer than words could explain. She did not know it then, but her weakness was not a limitation. It was preparation. As a young woman, Kathryn felt a strong call to ministry, but it terrified her. She questioned herself constantly. Why me? She wondered. I am not strong. I am not bold. I am not impressive. But God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Against every fear, she stepped into ministry, standing behind pulpits that felt far too big for her. Her early messages were simple. There was no theatrics, no shouting, no attempt to impress. Yet something happened when she spoke. People sensed God. Not excitement, not entertainment, but presence. At the height of her rising ministry, Kathryn made a decision that nearly destroyed everything. She married a man she loved, but the marriage was not aligned with God's will. Deep inside, she knew it, and slowly, something began to fade. The overwhelming presence of God that once flowed so freely through her ministry began to lift. Crowds still came. Messages were still preached, but the power was gone. Then one night, alone with God, Kathryn understood the truth that would mark her life forever. Kathryn, I am a jealous God. She faced an impossible choice: love or obedience, comfort or calling. With a broken heart, she surrendered the marriage and returned fully to God. It cost her reputation. It cost her emotionally. It cost her deeply. But heaven responded. When Kathryn Kuhlman stepped back into obedience, the presence of God returned, not quietly, but overwhelmingly. She became known not for preaching sermons, but for hosting God's presence. She would often step onto the platform, fall silent, and whisper, "Please don't grieve the Holy Spirit." And then it would happen. Without touch, without force, without command, people were healed. The blind saw, the deaf heard, tumors vanished, cripples walked. Doctors sat stunned in her meetings, watching conditions disappear that medicine could not explain. Kathryn never claimed the power. She always pointed away from herself. "Don't look at me," she would say. "Look to Jesus." Despite global fame, Kathryn lived a life of deep loneliness. She never remarried. She poured herself entirely into the call. Many misunderstood her. Some criticized her. Others tried to imitate her style without understanding her surrender. But Kathryn knew the secret. Power flows where self dies. She walked carefully, fearful of offending the Holy Spirit. To her, miracles were not tools. They were consequences of intimacy. She once said, "I'd rather have the Holy Spirit than anything else in the world." And she meant it. In her later years, her body weakened, but the presence never left. Even as her strength faded, heaven still responded when she entered a room. When Kathryn Kuhlman died in 1976, the world lost a woman, but heaven welcomed a vessel who had poured out everything. She left behind no denomination, no formula, no method, only a message. God moves through yielded lives, and His presence is worth any price. Kathryn Kuhlman's life was not about miracles. It was about surrender. She proved that God does not need strength. He needs availability. He does not need perfection. He needs obedience. Her story asks every generation the same question: were you willing to give up, to carry the presence of God?